It was one of those late autumn evenings in Pennsylvania where the forest feels alive, even when it's silent. The sun was dipping below the trees, casting long shadows across the narrow trail that led from the hospital to the nearby town. Anna, a nurse 8 months pregnant, was walking home after a late shift, her steps cautious on the leaf-covered path. The chill in the air nipped at her cheeks, and the crunch of her boots against the fallen leaves was the only sound that seemed to break the quiet. Walking beside her was Brutus, her Bull Terrier. Stocky, muscular, with cropped ears and a fierce look that contrasted with his goofy personality at home. Brutus was more than a pet. He was a protector, instinctively alert to danger. Tonight, even Brutus seemed tense, nose twitching, ears pricked, muscles coiled as if sensing something Anna couldn't yet see. She thought she was alone in the woods, but then came a noise, low, deliberate, almost a growl carried across the trees. A rustling in the underbrush, and her pulse quickened. The shadows between the trunks seemed to shift unnaturally. Brutus stopped mid-step, body frozen, growl rumbling low in his chest. Anna felt her breath hitch. Something was out there. Something big. A moment later, a black bear emerged from the dense trees. Its eyes gleamed in the fading light, nose twitching as it sniffed the air. Anna froze, every instinct screaming that she was in danger. Her hands clutched her belly instinctively. She tried to back away slowly, but the uneven terrain and her pregnancy made swift movement impossible. Panic gripped her. She knew she couldn't outrun a bear. That's when Brutus stepped forward. Not aggressively, not blindly, but with a precision that made Anna's heart skip. He positioned himself between her and the bear, hackles raised, growling low and steady. The bear stopped, sizing up this unexpected obstacle, nostrils flaring. Brutus barked sharply, his voice commanding, fearless, as if telling the bear, "You don't get her. Back off." Anna's mind raced. Could a dog really deter a bear? She knew Bull Terriers were fearless, but this was a full-grown black bear. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "Go, Brutus. Go." Her words seemed almost a prayer, but Brutus didn't hesitate. He lunged forward, barking, circling, moving unpredictably to keep the bear off balance. Every time the bear shifted, Brutus adjusted, nipping the air near its legs, snapping his jaws, forcing the bear to reconsider its approach. The bear rumbled, a low, menacing sound, swiping a massive paw at the ground. Anna's pulse skyrocketed, her eyes darting for an escape route, but she knew she had to trust Brutus. He had done this before, instinctively protective, and tonight, his instincts were sharpened to a razor's edge. He wasn't just bluffing, he was ready to fight to protect her. Time seemed to slow. The forest, the shadows, the rustling leaves, the bear, and Brutus, all existed in a tense, almost cinematic tableau. Anna clutched her belly tighter, whispering encouragements to her dog. "Keep him away, Brutus, just a little longer." Brutus barked again, circling, lunging, snapping near the bear without letting it get a clear shot at her. It was a dangerous dance. The bear tested him, stepping forward, claws scraping the earth, teeth bared, but Brutus remained focused. Every growl, bark, and movement was calculated. He positioned himself to shield Anna, forcing the bear to think twice about advancing. He wasn't just defending. He was buying her time, creating a gap, controlling the space between them. And then came the decisive moment. The bear lunged slightly, and Brutus reacted instantly, darting in front of Anna, barking and snapping, teeth flashing but avoiding full engagement, forcing the bear back. The animal hesitated, assessing this small but formidable opponent. Brutus's fearless display, combined with unpredictability, finally gave the bear pause. Slowly, cautiously, it retreated, moving back into the shadows of the forest, still aware of Brutus, but unwilling to risk further confrontation. Anna let out a shaky breath she didn't realize she had been holding. Her legs wobbled, and she sank slightly to the forest floor, eyes wide, heart pounding. Brutus trotted back to her side, still alert, body tense, ears pricked, scanning for any sign of the bear's return. She knelt and hugged him tightly, feeling his strength and warmth, and whispered, "You saved us, Brutus, you saved us." The forest seemed to exhale. The wind rustled the leaves gently, the shadows softened as night fell, and the path home suddenly felt safer, though the adrenaline still thrummed through Anna's veins. Brutus remained close, eyes flicking constantly to the tree line, tail flicking lightly, alert but composed. He had faced danger head-on and emerged victorious, his loyalty and courage unshakable. Anna realized then that heroism didn't always come with badges, guns, or formal training. Sometimes it came on four legs, in the form of a dog whose instincts, loyalty, and love were more powerful than fear itself. Brutus had protected her when she was vulnerable, when she couldn't run, when every natural instinct screamed danger. And he had done it without hesitation, without thought of reward, without a second glance at the risk to himself. Anna's heart was pounding in her chest as Brutus positioned himself firmly between her and the bear. The shadows of the trees stretched long and dark across the trail, and every rustle of leaves sent a fresh jolt of fear through her. The bear, a massive black shape with glinting eyes, stepped closer, sniffing the air, testing the dog's resolve. Anna instinctively took a step back, her hand pressed protectively against her belly, feeling the weight of both her pregnancy and the immediacy of the threat. Brutus didn't hesitate. He barked sharply, a deep, commanding sound that echoed through the forest. The bear paused, ears flicking, trying to assess this surprisingly fearless opponent. Then it lunged slightly, swiping at Brutus with a massive paw. Brutus darted to the side, snapping his jaws, his agility and speed keeping him safe, while still standing between Anna and danger. The dog's small size belied the ferocity and determination he brought to the confrontation. Anna shouted, voice trembling, "Go, Brutus! Protect me!" She didn't need to tell him twice. Brutus circled, barking, lunging in a controlled, almost tactical way, drawing the bear's attention to himself rather than to her. He was buying her time, keeping the bear occupied, and ensuring she had space to move, even slowly, along the uneven forest path. The bear growled, a low, menacing rumble that shook the ground beneath Anna's boots. It swiped again, this time knocking loose a branch that crashed to the trail. Brutus yipped, dodged, and lunged forward again, snapping his jaws to force the bear back. Anna clutched him momentarily, drawing strength from his courage. "You're incredible," she whispered, trying to steady her shaking hands. Every step Brutus took was precise. He moved unpredictably, keeping the bear guessing, positioning himself so that the bear had to deal with him at every angle, while Anna edged carefully backward. She could see his muscles tensing and releasing, his stance low but alert, eyes fixed on the bear's every movement. He wasn't just defending. He was controlling the encounter, directing it, and protecting her life with a strategic instinct that seemed almost human. The bear tested him, swiping a paw near Brutus' shoulder. The dog darted aside, letting out a sharp bark, then lunged again, teeth flashing, snapping the air in front of the bear's muzzle. The animal hesitated, confused by this small but relentless opponent. Brutus barked once more, then retreated slightly to draw the bear further from Anna, guiding her toward a clearer part of the trail. Anna's legs were weak, fatigue and fear making every step heavier. She pressed her hand to her belly, whispering encouragements to herself and Brutus. "Almost there. You've got this, Brutus. Keep him away." Brutus responded with a bark, circling the bear again, forcing it to retreat with every lunge and aggressive posture he displayed. The bear's attention never left him, and Anna realized how much time he had bought her, time she desperately needed to safely navigate the forest path while pregnant. The tension built as the bear's patience began to wane. It swiped at a tree trunk in frustration, snapping branches, then charged a few steps toward Brutus. But the dog's speed and agility were unmatched. He darted to the side, barking, snapping, then lunged again to keep the bear's focus away from Anna. Every maneuver was calculated. Brutus was fearless, unwavering, and fully committed to keeping her safe. Finally, the bear hesitated at a distance, clearly assessing this unexpected and persistent threat. Brutus barked one last, commanding time, standing his ground firmly between Anna and danger. Anna realized in that moment that the bear, enormous and dangerous as it was, had no interest in continuing the confrontation. Slowly, cautiously, it turned and disappeared back into the shadows of the forest, leaving Anna and Brutus alone. Anna sank to the ground, relief washing over her in overwhelming waves. Her hands shook as she stroked Brutus' fur, feeling the heat of his body, his steady breathing. "You saved us," she whispered, voice breaking. "I don't know what I would have done without you." Brutus leaned into her, tail flicking lightly, chest heaving, but still alert, scanning the forest to make sure the danger had truly passed. She looked around at the quiet forest, still shadowed and ominous, and realized the full weight of what had just happened. Brutus, a bull terrier, had faced a massive black bear, risking himself to protect her and her unborn child. He had acted decisively, fearlessly, instinctively, and without hesitation. His courage had given her the time and space she needed to survive. Even as she slowly rose to her feet, heart still racing, Brutus stayed close, ears forward, tail flicking, alert but relaxed. He had done his job, but instinctively he remained vigilant, understanding that the forest could still hold unseen threats. Anna smiled through tears, hugging him tightly. "You're my hero," she whispered. "You really are." The walk home from that point felt lighter, even with the adrenaline still coursing through her veins. Every shadow seemed less menacing, every rustle in the leaves less threatening. Brutus stayed close, guiding her with calm authority, and Anna realized the depth of their bond. He wasn't just a pet. He was a guardian, a protector, and a friend who had literally risked his life to ensure hers. When she finally emerged from the tree line onto the familiar streets of her neighborhood, relief flooded her completely. Brutus had led her through danger, deterred a predator much larger than himself, and ensured she made it home safely. Anna knelt in front of him, rubbing his chest and face. "You've earned every bit of love and care in the world," she said softly. Brutus wagged his tail, eyes bright, still alert, fully aware of his own bravery, but never boastful. That evening, as Anna recounted the events to her family and friends, she emphasized the courage of her bull terrier. "He saved my life," she said repeatedly, shaking her head in disbelief. "I don't even know how to explain it. He just knew what to do." And for everyone who heard the story, it was clear: heroism doesn't require size or numbers. Sometimes it comes in 4 legs, a fierce heart, and an unwavering instinct to protect those you love. By the time she settled into her home that night, safe and unharmed, Brutus curled at her feet, chest rising and falling steadily. The black bear had retreated, the forest was quiet again, and yet the impact of what had happened would linger forever. Brutus had proven that loyalty, courage, and quick thinking could overcome even the most daunting threats. He had faced a predator much larger than himself and won. Anna knew she owed her life, and the safety of her unborn child, to Brutus. His bravery was not about recognition or reward. It was instinct, loyalty, and love manifesting in the most extraordinary way. That night, she hugged him tightly, whispering words of gratitude and affection, knowing she would never forget how a bull terrier had faced a black bear to protect her, and how that small, fearless act had changed her life forever. By the time Anna finally reached the edge of the forest and saw the familiar lights of her neighborhood, relief washed over her like a tidal wave. The black bear had retreated into the shadows, the threat finally gone. But every step forward, every breath she took, reminded her of the bravery that had made it possible. Brutus, her bull terrier, still tense but alert, trotting beside her as if saying, "We made it. I've got you." Once inside her home, Anna set the baby's room in order, though she still trembled from the adrenaline. She sank into a chair, still holding her belly, and Brutus jumped up beside her, resting his head on her lap, eyes bright and attentive. It was impossible not to marvel at what had just happened. A creature so small, compared to the black bear they had faced, had acted with courage, intelligence, and instinct that had saved 2 lives that evening. She thought back to the moment in the forest when Brutus had lunged and barked, standing his ground against the bear. Her mind could barely process it. No human could have reacted faster or more decisively than her dog had in that instant. Brutus had assessed the threat, protected her, and forced the bear to retreat, without hesitation, without fear, simply acting on instinct and loyalty. Anna's friends and family, once she recounted the story, could hardly believe it. Some laughed in disbelief. Others were near tears at the heroism displayed. "I can't imagine it," one friend said. "A dog, facing a black bear, saving you and your baby? That's incredible." Anna shook her head, still overwhelmed. I know. I keep thinking about it. I wouldn't be here without him. And Brutus, as if understanding the praise, wagged his tail, but his focus remained on Anna, protective and loyal as ever. The event quickly became a story shared among neighbors, friends, and even on local social media. People marveled at the idea that a bull terrier, often underestimated for his size, courage, and intelligence, had successfully defended a human from one of the most dangerous predators in the area. Everyone emphasized the loyalty, courage, and instinct that made Brutus a true hero. For Anna, the impact went deeper than admiration from others. She realized that her bond with Brutus had always been strong, playful, and loving, but that night it had transformed into something she could never have imagined. Trust, instinct, and shared courage had created a bond that went beyond companionship. He had protected her when she could not defend herself, when she was vulnerable and alone, and he had done it without question. Even the next morning, the memory of the confrontation in the forest stayed vivid in her mind. She watched Brutus stretch, yawn, and trot across the living room, still vigilant in small ways, ears flicking, nose twitching, as if the forest might still hide a shadow. And she realized that heroism doesn't always wear a uniform. Sometimes it comes with fur, for legs, and eyes that refuse to turn away from danger. Brutus' bravery also reminded Anna that courage is often underestimated. People assume it comes only from humans, from training or strategy, but animals, particularly dogs with strong instincts and loyalty, can act decisively in life-threatening situations. That night, Brutus had proven that size doesn't always dictate who can protect whom. Heart, intelligence, and instinct often matter more. In the days that followed, Anna made sure Brutus received extra care and attention. He had scratches, minor abrasions from the confrontation, but nothing severe. Vet visits confirmed he was in perfect health, mentally alert, and emotionally calm, though clearly proud, in his own dog way, of the courage he had shown. She often sat with him, stroking his fur, whispering thanks, understanding that no words could fully capture the gratitude she felt. The story of Brutus and Anna spread among the local community, inspiring others to recognize the bonds we share with animals, the loyalty and courage they can display, and the life-saving instincts that sometimes surpass human capability. People discussed it not just as a thrilling tale of survival, but as a lesson in trust, awareness, and the extraordinary impact of an animal's courage. Anna reflected on the forest that night, the looming danger, and how easily fear could have taken over. But Brutus had acted with clarity, precision, and bravery. He had understood the stakes, positioned himself perfectly, and kept her safe. And as she recounted it to friends or shared her story online, she emphasized one truth. Heroism doesn't need recognition, reward, or glory. Sometimes, it comes silently, on four legs, in the form of a loyal companion who refuses to let harm come to those they love. She left the story open-ended in her own reflections, asking herself and others, what would you do if faced with danger like that alone? Could you rely on instinct, courage, and loyalty, the kind Brutus had shown? And if you had a dog of your own, could they, too, act decisively when it matters most? The questions lingered, prompting awe, discussion, and reflection among everyone who heard the story. That night, as Anna finally settled into bed, Brutus curled at her feet, chest rising and falling slowly, vigilant yet calm. The forest was behind them, the threat gone, and yet the lesson remained. Courage and loyalty can come from the most unexpected places. Brutus had saved a life that night, protecting both a mother and her unborn child. His instinct, intelligence, and bravery would not be forgotten. And so, the story ends not with fear, but with gratitude and respect. A bull terrier, underestimated by many for his size, had faced a black bear and emerged victorious, not for fame, not for reward, but out of pure loyalty and courage. His actions remind us all that heroism can appear anywhere, often when we least expect it, and sometimes in the most extraordinary and unexpected forms. For anyone watching, here's the question. If you were in Anna's place, walking alone through the forest, pregnant, facing an unseen predator, would you have trusted your companion as instinctively as she did? And if you had a dog like Brutus, Would you believe in their courage, intelligence, and loyalty to the extent they could save your life? Share your thoughts, experiences, or stories in the comments. Brutus' bravery is a reminder that sometimes the smallest heroes make the biggest difference.